He's got very high inflation. They've got shortages of gasoline. A petrol state has shortages of gasoline. They have a labor shortage.
Well, let's now speak with Kurt Volker. Kurt's a former American ambassador to NATO, and he was also Donald Trump's special envoy to Ukraine between 2017 and 2019. Kurt, good afternoon. Welcome to Times Radio.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
So what's your take on the talks yesterday at the White House?
Well, it's not over. I think Trump feels that he is using the threat of providing tomahawks to bring Putin back into a negotiation and to try to get a deal. And remember, what Trump really wants is the deal. He doesn't want the confrontation. He wants the deal. So he's trying to use the threat of tomahawks to do that. The problem is that Putin is doing the same thing. Putin is using the maybe promise of a deal and a summit meeting and maybe business deals to follow in order to get Trump to back down from taking tough measures. And so they're both doing this. Trump even admitted in the press conference with Zelensky that, well, maybe he is being played, but he's been played before and he always comes out on top. So he's just going along and going along. A couple things are different this time. Instead of Steve Witkoff being the lead to prepare this Trump-Putin summit meeting, which obviously did not go very well in Alaska, it is now Secretary of State Rubio, who I think understands the issues much better and understands the diplomatic dynamics much better. He's supposed to prepare this meeting. And if the Russian position does not change, I'm not 100% sure this meeting in Budapest goes forward. I think it could be postponed or delayed. And again, the threat of tomahawks used to try to get Putin to negotiate.
And look, I mean, it's interesting, you see, with Marco Rubio taking more of a role, particularly pitch rolling and doing the sort of sherpering ahead of this meeting in Hungary, because Donald Trump has been celebrated for getting this deal across the line with Gaza and Israel and Hamas. You know, there is more focus on Ukraine and Russia now. Will he want to make sure that the next time he meets Putin is a successful meeting? He won't want to have a meeting like the one in Alaska where nothing is decided. Will he be very clear in his own mind about that, Kurt?
It's hard to know. It's hard to know. You or I would think that way. But Trump always thinks a little bit differently. And he's always looking for the personal diplomacy, the leverage that he can bring. How can he actually move things forward? It's get tough, it's ease off, it's get tough, it's ease off. So I think he's going to judge that right up to the last minute, whether he really thinks he wants to do that or not. And likewise, I think he has said himself, he retains the option of providing tomahawks later or secondary sanctions. And he's just trying to gauge what it might take to get Putin to do a deal. So I would not rule out that he would go forward without certainty. But I think after the Anchorage meeting, which really did not go the way he expected, I do think he will be a bit more cautious.
And look, you obviously worked closely with Donald Trump when you were the American ambassador to NATO, and you were Trump's special envoy to Ukraine back in 2017 until 2019. How do you think Trump has sort of changed in that sort of time in terms of where he is now, particularly? I mean, obviously the Ukraine invasion hadn't happened then, but do you see any kind of differences in terms of how he is now?
Yeah, and just to clarify, I was at NATO under the Bush and Obama administrations, but working on Ukraine under the first term of President Trump. And the difference between the first term and second term is really night and day. He had, first off, assembled a very capable team of people around him in national security in that first term. You remember Jim Mattis as Secretary of Defense. You had H.R. McMaster then as the National Security Advisor. Rex Tillerson followed by Mike Pompeo as Secretary of State. Also, Ukraine and Russia, they were not his top priorities in his first term. So he allowed this team of people, and I was the special representative for Ukraine. He allowed us to really set the policy and do a lot of things. We did lift the Obama era arms embargo on Ukraine. We got them Javelin anti-tank systems, which Trump approved and now is very proud of and is glad that he did that. It was a very different scenario. Right now, it is his top priority, or one of his top priorities. He is directing everything himself. I don't see that Hegseth or Rubio or even Witkoff have the same kind of policy position that the previous team had. And he is deeply involved in an effort to try to negotiate now to get Putin and to end the war, to get Zelensky to agree to a ceasefire. So this is a very different feel and very personalized compared to the first term.
That's so interesting. Such interesting kind of analysis, particularly what you're saying about him really kind of being in the driving seat of this, and a lot of this being kind of, personal diplomacy and connections. And I suppose that the question that everybody ponders is, Putin, I mean, Trump is no doubt a very, very tough guy, and fair play to him. He has managed to bring, Hamas and Netanyahu to sign this deal, although, let's see what happens going forward. But I suppose the question that people ponder is that, can you even negotiate with somebody like President Putin? Because he is just in a very, very different zone from
Yeah.
other people.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I think every American president that I've ever met has mirror imaged onto Vladimir Putin, thinking that he would respond the way they would respond, presented with certain set of facts and opportunities. So Trump thinks he's offered Putin a very attractive deal. He keeps the territory he's taken. There's a ceasefire. We lift sanctions. We can go back to making money. All these young people are no longer being killed. Putin stays in power. So he thinks that's a great deal. And why isn't Putin taking it? And as you say, this is not the way Putin thinks at all. Putin is striving to place himself in the pantheon of great Russian leaders, alongside Catherine the Great and Peter the Great, accumulators of Russian lands, as he has said. So he's not motivated by the deal the way that Trump is. He's motivated by being his historical legacy in building the empire. And so, can you negotiate with that? I think you actually have to force a choice on Putin, that you impose such costs on his economy and on the military that he's either continuing the war or saving the Russian state and his hold on power. That it has to be such pressure that he feels he can't do both. And until he feels that, I think he's going to keep trying to squeeze us.
And really, really briefly, Kurt, do you think this conflict's going to end anytime soon?
I do think that Putin is facing more pressures economically and militarily than he wants to admit or wants the public to see. He's got very high inflation. They've got shortages of gasoline. A petrol state has shortages of gasoline. They have a labor shortage,
Okay.
declining GDP. He's got a lot of problems. So I think he's going to need a ceasefire pretty soon.